Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise. He chairs the Republican Study Committee, and he joins me now. Congressman, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Chuck. Good to be with you.
Well, take me into the room with the president. Tell me what took place. Why are you optimistic, pessimistic, somewhere in the middle? What did you learn?
Well, I'm normally a glass-half-full person, so I always look at things optimistically. It was good that we started a conversation. I know we've been asking for weeks to sit down and talk with the president and with Harry Reid to start negotiating our differences. Clearly, in a divided government, you've got a Republican House and a Democrat Senate and White House, and there are clear differences across the country about how we get our economy moving again and get spending under control. And so we've wanted to start this conversation so we can finally get started working out our differences, and that happened yesterday. And obviously, we made some offers, put some things on the table to the president so that we can keep these conversations going and ultimately reach final conclusions, both short-term and long-term, about how we get our economy back on track and control spending.
Now, I know that there is some proposals that have been floating all around since that meeting last night. This morning, Eric Cantor meeting with members of the Republican Study Committee that you chaired. Tell me about the various proposals that are out there.
We want to get the government back open. In fact, we've passed 18 different bills now through the House, all of which have had good bipartisan support to open all our different parts of the government. One or two of those bills have passed the Senate now, but most of them have been sitting on Harry Reid's desk, and we'd like to see votes on all of those to get the government moving
Well, let's forget the individual bills. I mean, that seems to be a silly thing of cherry picking. It seems like the country wants the whole thing reopened, if temporarily. What's happening? It's my understanding behind the scenes that there are some proposals being floated that might include very small addendums to opening the entire government by Tuesday morning. So what's out there? Is it the medical tax?
Well, and again, the reason that there's not an agreement on the entire government is because there are differences, and we ought to be negotiating those. We probably should pass the things we all agree upon and then negotiate the ones we disagree upon and then get that going as well. Those conversations literally just started yesterday, should have happened weeks ago. But we've laid out a number of different things we'd like to do to get the government open and to extend the debt ceiling, not for weeks, but for a long period of time, attached to reforms that actually stop us from continuing to hit the debt ceiling, so that we can finally take all these crises of the moment off the table and let the economy go again. Let people get their lives back where they don't have to worry that every couple of weeks Washington's going to reach another impasse. And so long term, if we get a real solution, that's really best for the country, and I think that's one of the things we've been trying to get for a while now.
You sound very conciliatory this morning. It does sound like something is going to happen by Tuesday morning. Are you that optimistic?
Well, the ability's there to get that done, but no agreement's been reached. We literally just yesterday started talking, and there's a lot more to talk about and work through. Again, there are big differences between both sides, and I think the president and our side have acknowledged that. But the only way you solve those is you get in a room and you actually talk about the details and work them out. It's what every president's done. We're not trying to do anything different than hasn't been done since the beginning of our country's founding, and President Obama knows that too. So we've got to continue these talks. We've put a lot of offers on the table. Yeah. I'm glad the president's meeting with us. Harry Reid needs to do the same, and let's get this worked out.
So I'm sure you've at least know some of the headlines from our NBC Wall Street Journal poll. Among the bigger numbers in it is this idea that House Republicans, the perception that House Republicans are putting their own political agenda over what's good for the country, 70% overall, but 40% of Republicans. How do you respond to a number like that?
Well, clearly, the mainstream media is not going to get out all the things that are going on. I mean, when you look at what this is about, it's not about some partisan fight. The president himself has acknowledged that there's serious failings with his own health care law. He's issued over 1,200 waivers. What we've been asking for is fairness. Don't just give a break to big business. Don't just give a break to members of Congress. If the law's so good, make it apply to everybody. But if it's got problems, then why don't we go and address those problems and get the economy moving again?
Did you guys make a mistake by not entering into a larger budget negotiation with the Senate? Opportunity was there. You guys could have appointed conferees. They could have. And these negotiations could have started before funding ran out. You guys have been calling for negotiations only, it seems like, in the last couple of weeks, but you could have forced formal negotiations. In hindsight, is that a mistake?
Well, first of all, Paul Ryan, who's our budget chairman, has been talking to Patty Murray over in the Senate for months now. It took the Senate 4 years, by the way, to pass a budget. We've passed one every year. So, you know, the Senate's late to this game. I'm glad they're finally there. But for weeks, we've been saying, let's get in a room and start talking about our differences.
Well, you could have done it.
For whatever reason, Harry, well, no, a budget, by the way, a budget doesn't fund government. It's appropriations bills. We've passed multiple appropriations bills to fund all of government, and we've passed some of those back to June. Not one of those has been taken up by the Senate. Not one of them.
Well, the budget,
so we want to work, but it takes two sides to get this done.
I understand that, but
yeah, but people have been talking.
Well,
ultimately, the chairman of the Budget Committee in the House and the chairman of the Budget Committee in the Senate have been talking. They're very far apart, clearly, and hopefully they can get closer together, and we'll get more people in a room. But remember, Harry Reid's been saying for weeks now he refuses to negotiate with anybody. He was chided by the D.C. mayor, of all people, on the Capitol steps just 2 days ago because of his refusal to negotiate. So, you know, it takes multiple people to get into a room. We're in that room. We're saying, look, let's talk and get this worked out.
Are you satisfied with how Speaker Boehner has handled this for Republicans?
Yeah, I am. I think he's trying to get a deal done. But again, it takes more than one person sitting in a room to negotiate and get something worked out. We want to get our economy moving again and address all these problems that were hurting our economy before the shutdown. Let's get things moving and get things worked out.
All right. An optimistic Steve Scalise this morning, Republican from Louisiana, head of the Republican Study Committee. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Chuck.
All right. Coming up, damage control. Is there